stage. There were some times when I was working so much in the 80s, I felt really burnt out. But I'd be up there singing and not be 10,000 million miles away. You know, just opening my mouth and words coming out. Said by George Strait. Hi, I'm Adam Roberts. I'm going to give you information and facts today on why George Strait is the best country singer and one of the overall time greatest musicians of our lifetime. George Strait had to overcome adversity early on in his career, and he would have not gotten to where he is today without hard work, perseverance, and determination. George Strait was born May 18, 1952 in Petite, Texas. He is currently 62 years old. He was raised on a family-owned farm in nearby Pearsall, Texas. He studied agricultural at the local university, which is called Southwest Texas State University. During that time, he eloped with his high school sweetheart, Norma, before joining the U.S. Army. He was stationed in Hawaii. That's where he first began to sing. The Army had a sponsored band, and they were called the Rambling Country. After returning home to Texas, he's put together his own band and called them the Ace in the Hole. The band soon followed to gain a rather impressive local following. In 1977, Strait moved to Nashville without failed attempts at a record contract. But finally in 1981, nearly 4 years later, after moving to Nashville, George Strait signed a record deal with MCA Records, which he is currently still with them today. George Strait would release his first album in 1981, and that would be called Straight Country. This would also feature his hit single, Unwound. Over the next decade, George would produce a series of #1 hits. Well, #1 albums. They are Straight from the Heart, 1982, The Sport Worth Ever Cross Your Mind, 1984, Something Special, 1985, Oceanfront Property in 1987, and Beyond the Blue Neon in 1989. All these albums were certified platinum or multi-platinum hits. Also during 1989, George Strait was named the CMA Entertainer of the Year, and he repeated that feat in 1990 for the same award. And last year, in 2013, he also won that same award again, being the first person to ever win it 3 times. Over the years, George Strait has amassed over 50 #1s and numerous awards. He has had a top 10 hit every year for the past 30 years. As of 2009, he holds the most ACM awards. On June 8, 2010, he was named the top country music artist for the past 25 years by Billboard magazine. He was also named Artist of the Decade in the 2000s by the ACMs. George Strait has even had his own day in Texas named after him. And that day would be May 18th, which is his birthday, and they call it George Strait Day. He is currently on his last tour, and the end date for his tour is June 7th, 2014, he's currently on his last tour, and the end date for his tour is June 7th, 2014, which will be held at Dallas, Texas. George Strait is probably the most known country music artist of our time. He's one of the best artists of all time, and personally, I think he's the best country artist if you're counting awards and hits. He has sold many albums over his time, including this George Strait 50 #1 straight hits. He has millions of fans globally and nationwide. He will go down as